If you've ever fished in your life before, you'll know that it can be a long and excruciating road from baiting the hook to catching a fish. Fishing takes a lot of precision, and not everyone is up for the challenge. So what about the fishers that don't have the patience of a Chinese monk? How do they satisfy their urge to catch some fish? What do you do if you land yourself in a sticky situation? Well, don't worry, because we are going to be solving all of your fishing problems in today's video, where we look at some of the most useful tips and tricks to roll up your sleeves while on a fishing trip. At number 11, learn the basics. Although this might sound obvious, you'd be surprised to hear how many people just flat out ignore the learning basics and just wing it on the go. One of the most essential parts of fishing is the ability to tie strong knots, not only quickly, but tie knots that are reliable. You need to be able to tie these knots in all conditions. The top 3 basic fishing knots that every angler needs to know are the uniknot, the loop knot, and the double uniknot. The first 2 knots are different ways to attach your fishing line to a lure, hook, or swivel, while the third knot is for tying 2 fish lines together. If you can learn how to tie these knots, congratulations! You already have 99% of fishing covered. Even though this might not seem like a traditional hack, but assured when we tell you that learning these 3 basics will make your fishing experience easier to a very large degree. This skill will help you out in most fishing-related things. Next, use a gauze net or a pantyhose for soft bait. If you're using soft bait like chicken liver or cat food that tends to fall off the hook, or in some cases even dissolve in the water, this can be especially infuriating if the bait falls off right as a fish tugs on it. You can try wrapping some sort of netting around the bait. This will make sure that the bait just doesn't vanish into thin air, or in this case, water. Next up, try scenting your bait. Using scent on your bait greatly increases your chances of finding a good catch. When you toss a craw or a worm into the water, the extra attraction of scent will give you more of an advantage. It's always better to strategically scent small areas. A great way to get the scent only where you want it is to repurpose old eyedroppers. You can pop the rubber tip out of an eyedropper and wash it out. Then simply just fill it up with a scent of your choosing. This hack really comes in handy when fishing with limited storage space. There's no need to carry around a full jar of scent in your bag when a full eyedropper could get you through 10-day-long trips. Using an eyedropper also makes sure that the scent makes its way deep into the bait, and the scent can be much more localized inside the bait. This helps in luring in more and more fish. Another one for our list is to use safety pins to organize your hooks. It's always wise to be organized, especially when you're out fishing. One of the biggest challenges that fishermen face is changing hooks on the fly. If you keep your hooks unorganized, you may end up having to go through your whole tackle collection just to find the right hook. Many people end up wasting a lot of time trying to find the right sized hook and end up losing their catch. An easy way to avoid this hassle is by keeping all the hooks of one size together. The best way to do this is by threading them into a safety pin and then storing that in a specific compartment of your tackle box. You can use this exact method to organize your swivels or jig heads according to size. This trick can end up being a lifesaver, as it not only saves time but also frees up space in the tackle box for more supplies. Next at number 7, color code your fishing rods. While we're on the topic of organization, if you're someone who has a large collection of fishing rods, boy oh boy do we have the hack for you. Gone are the days of you having to look for all those minor details just to find the fishing rod you're looking for. The best way to arrange your fishing rod is by color coding them. You can do this by sticking different colored masking tape to each rod. This will help differentiate between them according to action and power, and will make them instantly recognizable. You can figure out a system that works for you best. Assign different colors to rods that have different capabilities. There is a lot of room for personalization with this hack. Next up, PVC pipe and an empty bucket makes a great DIY fishing rod carrier. Why spend thousands of dollars on those expensive fishing rod carriers when you can make one just as efficient at home for a fraction of the price? Simply take an empty bucket, pour in some quick-drying cement, then just stick some pieces of PVC pipe in there with super glue. And voila, you have yourself a DIY fishing rod carrier ready to use. Just stick your fishing rods into the hollow PVC pipes and you're all set to go fishing with the boys. Next, get yourself a line cutter's ring. Not only will this fine piece of jewelry bling you out, but you also will give your teeth a well-needed break from having to go to the fishing line. So no more bleeding gums on the fishing trip. Every angler knows it's necessary to cut and retie your fishing line many times during a fishing trip, and this task is made even more challenging by the fact that you almost never have both hands free at the same time. This is where the line cutter's ring come into play. This ring can cut through the fishing line like a knife cuts through melted butter. It has a double-sided blade that will cut any fishing line in a matter of seconds. And if you're someone that doesn't like the idea of having to wear a ring, don't worry, because the line cutters has all bases covered. They also sell versions that can latch onto your boat or even your fishing rod. Another tip is to use a safety pin to fix a damaged line guide on your fishing rod. Just like the old saying goes, safety pins are just overall nifty things to have around. If there's one thing that we've learned today, it's that you can never have too many safety pins when going fishing. You see, if the line guide on your fishing rod somehow breaks, that's usually game over for the rod right there. This sort of damage usually puts your rod out of business until you get your guide line replaced at a repair shop. But there is a makeshift safety pin hack that you can surely get you through the trip with ease. All you'll need is a safety pin along with some duct tape. You have to bend the safety pin at 90-degree angle and then tape it to the rod with the eye of the safety pin sticking out. This makeshift line guide is sturdy enough to even handle big fish. At number 3, keep a rag hooked onto your belt. It's always a smart idea to have a clean rag at your disposal while fishing. You never know what sort of fish gunk might end up on your hands, not to mention all the blood and slime. Having a rag by your side will give you the luxury of wiping your hands on something that's not leaves or tree bark. The best way to make sure you never lose sight of your handy dandy rag is to hook it onto your belt with a carbiner. center. This method will make sure that your trusty rag always stays by your side. Next, try using local insects, animals as bait. Sometimes regular store-bought bait just doesn't do the job. In this scenario, try using the local insects and small fish of the area as bait. Fish are more likely to be attracted to what they regularly eat than some weird worm from a can. This method is also better for the local ecosystem since it refrains from introducing foreign bodies into the water. And finally, at number 1, if all fails, go unconventional. Often you'll find that fish lose interest in the conventional store-bought baits, especially if you're fishing a popular spot. This is when it's time to whip out the big guns. And by big guns, we mean the more exotic kinds of bait. These can include stuff like hot dogs, cat food, bread, marshmallows, and basically anything that is safe for fish to eat. This is a very neat trick to have up your sleeve. It will leave all the fishermen dumbfounded as to why the fish just can't get enough of you. Well folks, that's a wrap for today's video. Which hack did you find to be most useful? And did we miss out on any? Leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Tap the bell icon to stay with all our latest content. Until next time, bye!